Yes, it's time for Mark Meets, in which I speak to the biggest names in the world of politics, sport, showbiz and beyond. Tonight, one of the most important figures in British politics, the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party in Northern Ireland, Sir Jeffrey Donaldson. Sir Jeffrey, welcome to the programme. My first night of the evening.
Thank you. Good evening, Mark.
That must have been a wonderful moment in your life and your career when you were ennobled. Who did you receive your knighthood from, Sir Jeffrey?
It was Prince William who was at the ceremony that day in Buckingham Palace on the 11th of November, which was quite fitting.
Yes, you got in early with the future king. Your memories of that day, a big moment for the family, a big moment, I suppose, for the country as well, your country, Northern Ireland.
Well, I count it a great honour, and indeed my constituents who I've served for over 25 years, I feel it's a recognition for them and for the people of Northern Ireland. We've come through some very difficult years here and fought hard to remain part of the United Kingdom. And of course, I saw this not just as something that was personal to me, but a recognition of the unionist movement in Northern Ireland and our efforts to maintain the integrity of the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Why is the Union, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, so important to you, Sir Jeffrey?
Well, I was born a British citizen. Northern Ireland is an integral part of the United Kingdom, and I've no desire to give up my British citizenship, my British way of life. I regard myself, I'm very proud of being from Northern Ireland. I'm Northern Irish, but very firmly and strongly British, and love standing alongside my colleagues from England, Scotland and Wales. I feel part of a wider family of nations within the United Kingdom, and I'm proud of the contribution that Northern Ireland has made to the United Kingdom over many centuries. The union that Northern Ireland is part of is well over 200 years old. Northern Ireland itself is over 100 years old since the Republic of Ireland, what is now the Republic of Ireland, left the United Kingdom. And I have no desire to give up those links that have formed part of what I am and the people that I represent are for many centuries.
You tragically lost relatives who were serving in the Royal Ulster Constabulary, I believe in the early 70s and in the 80s. I'm so sorry for your loss. How did that shape your politics?
Well, like many people in Northern Ireland growing up during the Troubles, Mark, the violence of Northern Ireland impacted on the communities that we lived in, and that was the case for me and for my family. Not only did I lose members of my wider family circle, but comrades that I'd served with in the Ulster Defence Regiment as well, part of the British Army in Northern Ireland, and indeed friends that I'd gone to school with who tragically lost their lives during the Troubles. So the Troubles impacted on many people. I'm no more impacted than tens of thousands of my fellow Northern Ireland citizens, and none of us wants to go back to those dark days. I got involved in politics because I wanted to change things for the better. I recognise that in the end, violence is not the answer. When you're dealing with divisions in a society like Northern Ireland, and the politics has to be the way that we resolve our differences, and that's why I've worked tirelessly, as have others, over many decades to build the peace process in Northern Ireland, to create political institutions that could have the confidence of everyone in Northern Ireland, because that's the basis upon which we build political stability here.
Given the history of the IRA, Sir Jeffrey, how difficult on a personal level do you find it working with Sinn Féin as political colleagues?
Well, obviously, it has been very difficult. It is especially difficult, Mark, when you hear Sinn Féin leaders justifying what the IRA did. And indeed, recently we had Michelle O'Neill, who is now the First Minister designate of Northern Ireland, saying that there was no alternative to IRA violence. And of course, that is something I entirely reject. I believe there was always an alternative to violence, that politics and dialogue is the way to resolve our differences and not violence, not the needless slaughter of innocent people. So it is difficult, Mark. I won't pretend that it is anything other than this when you have a political party in Northern Ireland that still believes the violence of the IRA was justified. Yet I'm looking to the future, and I want a Northern Ireland that continues to be at peace with itself, where we continue to build stability, and of course we create prosperity for the people of Northern Ireland, give the next generation the hope that they need. So my focus is, I mean, look, none of us forgets the past, Mark. How could we? We lived through some terrible and dark years, but we're looking to the future now. I'm looking to the future in Northern Ireland. I want to build on the progress that's been made, but as I suspect we're going to come to talk about, that progress is now being hampered. It is being put in question by the imposition of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which has deeply upset the very delicate political balance in Northern Ireland and has made it impossible to continue with cross-community power sharing, because we don't have a cross-community consensus in Northern Ireland. Unionists, there isn't a single unionist MLA in Stormont or MP at Westminster that supports the Northern Ireland Protocol. It does not enjoy cross-community support. And that's the only basis upon which we can build stability in Northern Ireland. And that's why the protocol has got to be addressed.
Well, yes, it strikes me that it goes against the terms and the spirit of the Good Friday Agreement, which was a hard-won agreement, a hard-won peace deal. You mentioned prosperity in Northern Ireland. I've got so many viewers in Northern Ireland. They'll be watching this avidly tonight. And Northern Ireland can't prosper if there isn't an administration in Stormont. You won't do that whilst the Northern Ireland Protocol is in place. What is the protocol, for those that don't know? Well, it's an invisible border down the Irish Sea. It splits our country, a horrible, unworkable compromise imposed upon us by the EU. What is the solution? Because I know you'd like to see it removed altogether, but is it not more politically practical to fix the protocol rather than ditch it?
Well, first of all, Mark, let me say the border in the Irish Sea is far from invisible. We have so-called border control posts at the ports in Northern Ireland. The government is now proposing to expand those border control posts. So it's not invisible. It's there. And I'm afraid it's not just the absence of an executive that is inhibiting our ability to build prosperity. It is the presence of the protocol itself. Great Britain is our biggest market. We sell far more goods to Great Britain than anywhere else, indeed than all the other countries in the world combined. We are part of the UK internal market. And what we want to see is a solution that restores Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom internal market. And let me explain this, Mark, how important this is for unionists. The United Kingdom is a union, and you will often have heard reference to the union. But it is not just a political union, it is also an economic union. And the Act of Union itself, which is the very basic constitutional framework for the union, states in Article 6 of the Act of Union that there shall be no barriers to trade between the constituent parts of the United Kingdom. So this is a fundamental right established in the very building block, the very cornerstone of our nation, the Act of Union, which says we should be free to trade within our own country. We are supposed to be a free trade nation. And yet here I am in Northern Ireland representing many people who can't trade freely within their own country, never mind freely with other people. And so this is fundamentally important. The protocol inhibits our ability to trade within the United Kingdom, and that has to be sorted out. The protocol doesn't offer the solution, it is the problem.
Indeed so, and I've been on record on this network as saying that it risks restarting the Troubles if it hasn't already, and no one wants that outcome. Sir Jeffrey, I need to get to the papers, but briefly, if you can, how do you see this issue with the Northern Ireland Protocol playing out? Do you think it will go your way?
Well, look, the government has committed to resolving this issue. And what we have done as a party, very briefly, Mark, is set 7 tests by which we will judge the outcome of any negotiations with the EU or indeed legislation that is brought forward in Parliament. Those 7 tests are based exclusively on the commitments the UK government itself has given to the people of Northern Ireland in recent times about what they intend to do to resolve the protocol. So I'm simply saying to the government, deliver what you promised. And that means restoring, respecting and protecting Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom internal market, whilst putting in place practical arrangements to ensure that goods moving into the EU single market meet EU standards.
In resolving this issue for the people of Northern Ireland, I wish you well. Sir Jeffrey Donaldson, thank you so much for your time.